Okay, YouTube, good morning. Sorry about that, everybody. Had a slight issue, browser problems. I won't go into the details. Using the wrong one, effectively. User area. Spent loads of time set a nice outdoor studio. We're going to do it in the sunshine, and then someone started mowing the lawn. So I thought indoors, and now I'm going to have to dodge the sunshine. Just let me know you guys can hear me all right. Loads of people are signing in from all over the place. So good morning, everybody. I'm buzzing for this one, forearm stand tutorial. Now, this is one of my favorite little play hand balancing upside down inversion type movements, because when you learn to handstand, which we are big on at the moment at School of Calisthenics, if you haven't seen the stuff that's all over social, you need to go and check it out. But there's a big handstand up to Corona campaign going on. We're going to try and get as many people learn to handstand as they can whilst we are in this lockdown situation. Now, handstanding can take some time, but forearm balance is something which is quite an easy little win. So today we're going to go through a little follow along, a little tutorial, and you guys kind of play around with a little bit of this exercise and see how you like it. So follow along with me if you want to. And then just with everything, guys, anything like with forearm balances, handstand balances, anything like this, stay away from pain. If you get any sort of like discomfort, anything doesn't feel great, just take it super steady and just go within where you're comfortable today. So work within your level of, whether you've been upside down before, you're going to smash it, or whether it's your first time, just take it a little bit steady. Any questions as we go along, into tube, post them up, do live. Let's give it a little whirl. All right, so first thing, mobilization. We're going to get warmed up a little bit, take you through a few reps, and then we're going to get up into our upside down action. So first one, if you guys can all see me, all right, YouTube, I'm going to bring you down a little bit so you can see a little bit more. All right, so we're going to work through. Let me show you what we're going to learn to start off with. So the forearm stand is going to set up like this. Elbows on the floor, flat. You're going to come through into a split stance position, slight little kick, and then we're going to come up and we're going to hold in here. All right, so that's the end point for today. So what we're going to work on to start off with is just getting you prepped up. So the first one is when you go into forearm stand, you're going to need to get a little back arch. All right. When we get good at it, we can get super straight. But we're going to go into a little curvature position to start off with. So first position we're going to get into is our tabletop. And we're just going to warm the shoulders up a little bit. So come into your tabletop position, push your hips up nice and high. So we're going to create this bridge position here. And I just want you to rock toes back, forwards. And the job here is what I'm trying to do is open this shoulders up a little bit progressively, because we're going to take this into a slightly more progressive position in a sec. So you're going to drop through, hips up, rocking out into shape. Okay, feeling pretty good. Right, our next movement then is we're going to leave one hand on the ground. So I'm going to leave my right hand down. Left hand's going to come up. I'm going to push hips high, get stable on this bottom arm, and I'm just going to try and push and create this one arm bridge position. So hand stays nice and stable, come back down. Going to push through, create the bridge, and back down. So go two, swap sides. Left hand down, right hand comes up, drop through, push high. Try and push the hips up. We'll go a couple of reps. Again, the second side. So we go second set. Try to crack a wall up between your butt cheeks when you do this one, guys. So really drive the hips through. Hand comes up, push, drive, open up. And feel that position one, drive through two, and then swap. Other side one, and drop in two. All right. So it's time to open that spine up a little bit. We need some flexibility because of the balance position is going to be here. And then on top of this, I'm going to need to create a little bit of an arc position. So we want to warm the spine up so we can actually create the shape. And we're also going to get nice and stable in a minute when we start to put a little bit of core activation in. So second position, if you feel comfortable, move to a double arm bridge. If that one feels like it's a sort of step in the right direction, we want to stick there. Keep going for another set on this single arm bridge position. If you want to try the double, so the movement I find helps a lot to just try and get me moving for a forearm stand. So come through, hands are going to go behind. I'm going to come this way so you guys can see. Onto the ground, and then if you feel comfortable, just push up, and then we're into our bridge position. We're just going to spend a little bit of time just gently easing in and out of this shape. Keep breathing, steady as you go through, and you can just move through. Just open the shoulders up, open the spine up, As you feel comfortable, you can drop back down. Just relax it for a sec, and then we'll go a second rep. So hands behind the head, push through, up into bridge, and sit in there for a sec. Nice. You guys can remember for that one, you can always just stay in your single arm positions as you start to get some more confidence, and you can start to then just open out and reach into that shape. The same thing on the other side. One more set, just first you're looking for a progression, and then reach, just to start to feel that back open up a little bit. So that's a little bit of spinal mobility to get us going. The second thing we're going to have a look at now is just starting to get a bit of core activation. When we're going to go upside down, and particularly because we're going to ask the back to kind of move in a slightly curved shape, and when you're first learning, chances are it's going to be more extreme. It's going to be like a bit like a scorpion shape. As you get stronger, you can keep this position more vertical. So we're just going to get the core stable so that when we move upside down, the vertebrae, everything's packed in nice and tight. We've got some awareness of how to control that stability shape. So we're going to do a little Superman, and then we're going to progress this through to add a little bit of strength in a second. So onto our fours. 2 challenging progressions on this one. Real simple to start off with. We need to find neutral. So don't slump in here. Don't find yourself rounding off. You've got to be somewhere in between. So imagine a pole running down my back, contact between the head, shoulder blades, and on top of the butt. So for my shape here, I'm going to pull my tummy button in. So I'm imagining I'm going to suck my stomach button in towards me, and I'm going to try and lift off, go one side and the other one. So reach out without allowing this back to arch. So stay super tight. Your job now is going to be to come through, touch elbow to knee, and then push back out. Spine should stay straight and stable. Come through, touch elbow to knee, and then push back out. Make yourself super long, guys, in this shape. So reaching out, pointing the toes, pushing the hand out in front of you. We'll go one more, come through. Good. All right, let's go through a couple of working sets so you now know the demo. So swapping them over, I'm going to go left leg, right arm. So I'm going to come up, reach out, hold that balance position, squeeze the tummy button in, come through, elbow to knee, drive back out. Keep tension all the time, guys. Should be like an on-off kind of position. Looking to keep it tight, hold, and then drive back through. Touch, 3. Let's go for 6, 4. Touch through 5. And 6. Okay, simple. So for those of you guys who want to move on, we're going to go a little progression. For those who want to try it, and you might want to come back and forward, see how it feels when you try this next one. The next one's not easy, but it's a nice little balance and neurological test to see what you've got, something to work on whilst we are homebound. So instead of going opposite arms, this time I'm going to go same side. So we're going to work left side down to start off with. So I'm going to shift over, left hand and left knee going to stay on the floor. I'm going to shift over and I'm going to try and take right hand, right knee off the ground. My job then, elbow to knee. Can I reach out, hold that shape? Find my balance. You see me just wobbling a little bit. You're going to find that instability is okay. We go 2. Come back in 3. Let's aim for 5. Reaching out, same as before, but holding that balance position. 4. And 5. Good. Swap sides. Now this side is my worst side, guys, so don't judge me on this one. All right, right side, shoulder, hip kind of issues going on, but it's a long story. Anyway, let's shift them across onto the right side, elbow to knee. And then we're going to come through, find your balance point, drive it out. Let's go right side, 3. Hold the shape, nice and stable. Just keep working on that stability, guys. You got balance, no problem. Just correct yourself and get it back. 4. Last one. And 5. We actually use that as a movement assessment test, whether we can control that balance. And I've got some like right side shoulder instability, right side hip. So sometimes you use these movements and you find out you've got a little bit of some issues around your kinetic chain. It's a nice little way of starting to just identify what they are, and then you can go and work on them. So might as well do a work in progress, but just to show that we're all kind of working on some of this stuff at the same time. All right, so core's working a little bit. We've done a little bit of range of movement. We start to prep ourselves up a little bit. Let's start looking at the activation pattern for the forearm stand. And I could kick straight up into it, but I want to give you some tools to start to actually use when we get upside down. So we're going to have a look at some a push-up flow, which is going to start to get us on our elbows, but creating a little bit of force through the elbows and particularly through the triceps as well at the same time. So into press-up position. From this position, we're going to do a Pluto sniff. So start here again, don't let your back arch or have your bum stuck up in the air. Get nice and flat, stable shape. You're going to push through into this high shape, and then what you guys to do is just roll yourself down through like a dive bomb position, close to the floor. But here, I don't want you to go into a back arch just yet. We're going to come down through, lock it in from the bottom, nice and strong, and then push back up. I want the shoulders to do some work rather than going through that mobility pattern. So we're going to roll through, drop it in, connect, come up in a push-up. Let's go for a set of 7, guys, 7 or 8, just to get warmed up. If you find the push-up difficult, you can go to knees and just allow yourself to drop back up, push back through. Let's do, I've lost count, but let's go another 2, 1, last one, roll yourself through, close to the mat, and then drive back out. Okay. Nice. Decided to do this in a greenhouse. Absolutely baking today. Next movement. We're going to go to an impossible push-up shape, and I'm going to link these two things together. One of the big things about finding a stable position in your forearm stand is whether we can create a bit of force downwards into the ground in this position. If we're super weak and not active in that shape, you kind of slump into it. It's difficult to get a stable foundation. So if we can create a bit of force, a bit of downward tension, we can start to create some more upward lift, and that's going to help us to create a nice stable shape as we try to link that force through the rest of the chain. So back into our kind of push-up position, but this time we're going to start on the elbows. What I want you guys to start with to feel is the difference between being here, kind of slumped in, and the difference between pushing down hard and trying to get this bone and humerus here vertical. So whether you're going to slump in forwards or whether you're staying high. So let's go through a set together. Start off in a straight position, push the floor down so you're nice and active. So push high rather than just relaxing, collapsing through. Push down high, and then on your toes, rock forwards, hold that shape, and then push back. Rock forwards, push back. Let's go 3 more. Rock forwards, push back, forwards, and then back. Good. So you're going to start to feel probably in that position that your arms are getting a little bit of work. The job and the thing I want you to take away from that is what happens when you push downwards. We want to try and use that active press with the forearm to try and create some lift. So we're not relying entirely just on the arc of that low back coming up over the top. So we'll link those things together, and then we'll get into some forearm patterns. So we're going to go press up position, move up into your Pluto sniff. We'll dive on push up. We're going to drop down into press up. Let your feet slide back into the forearm stand. Walk forwards and then push back up. So you're just going to throw that forearm position in between the push up on that dive bomb, or we call it Pluto sniff. Another long story. Drop through, push up position into a high shape. Sweep down into the bottom. Slide the feet onto the elbows. Walking forward, just rocking out of that shape. And then push back up. Let's go again. Come up high, drop it down, push up position onto the elbows, forwards and back up. Go for another 2, guys. Just a quick coaching cue on that one. If you feel like it's difficult to shift the weight forward, just either slide your feet if you've got socks on, or walk backwards and forwards, and that'll help you to kind of find that balance point as you go through. Told you it was warm. All right, so those are our little activation patterns. Let's start thinking now about getting into this forearm position, and we'll come back and we'll revisit a little bit of this as well. Any questions on any of this before we move on? I can see quite a bit coming in. Couple of issues around a bridge. Just got to take a little bit of time on those. It sometimes just takes a bit of work just to try and find that kind of mobility position. So open the shoulders, and mobility comes with time. So spend more time on your mobility on a daily basis and start to work through up and overhead. All right, cool. Happy days. All right. So let's try and get into this forearm position, see if you guys can play around with it. If you're a bit scared about this one, guys, you can put some cushions around you if you want to. We're going to try and build this up progressively, and we're going to use the wall for a little bit of help as we go through as well. So forearms are going to go flat on the floor. Let me show you this way. What we want to try and avoid is this position to start off with. Depends on how tight and mobilized our shoulders are, but ideally I want to go here because I want a nice big base of support. This sometimes feels comfortable, but you're pushing down to one point. You want two good solid points of contact with the ground. So work on making sure that that stays nice and strong in that position. All right. So when you guys come through, I'm just going to check we're still working. Oh, my phone just died on me. No worries. So next one, line yourself up, and then we're going to take this split stance position. So just like if we do a handstand kick up, but I want you guys just to kind of feel where that pressure is in between, flatten the elbows, put the hands down as well. So don't rely on either. Keep a nice big base of support on the ground, and we're just going to practice this little kick. So bottom leg is a little pop, and then top leg is a pendulum. Just feel that to start off with. I'm not going to try and hit the balance point just yet. Just get a feel for how far you can go. And what you might find is if you kind of just get a little bit of a hover position, and you can feel that balance point as you come through. Now, this is a skill process, just like learning to handstand is, but because we've got a bigger base of support, it's a little bit easier. So you can still got to put some time into teaching body how to move. Attempt, it's going to be a little bit of a process of just working out how to create the shape. What we've done so far is teach you and get your body mobilized, so you've got some range of movement to play around with. And the second thing is where the force needs to be when we start to get higher overhead with feet overhead position. So let's go again. If you're feeling comfortable, guys, I'm going to show you another set of kick-ups, and then we're just going to use the wall because it can help you to find that balance point. Before we do that, I'm just going to show you where this the actual kind of finished position needs to be, and just talk you through a couple of the cues on that one. So forearms go on the ground, into my kick-up position. If I can find a point where I can get enough balance, you'll find you get a little bit of a hover position. Now, where loads of people go wrong is they find that point and they panic and they push backwards. You've got to commit to it, especially when you started to learn this one. Before you build up some more kind of tricep strength to hold yourself higher, we can actually get into a forearm stand and sit quite close into this position like we did in the bottom of the push-up. And it creates a position where it's stable, but doesn't need a lot of strength to be able to hold it. So I'll show you what I mean. So I kick up, I can actually sit in here. Face is super close to the mat, back is arched a little bit more in that position, but it's just a balance shape. I'm just distributing my center of mass right over the top of my base of support. So it means that I don't have to work quite as hard. And that's just a confidence thing rather than kicking up, feeling it, and pushing yourself backwards. You've got to commit and go forwards into the ground or towards the ground. Try not to face plant. To feel that shape, one thing you can do is use the wall for a little bit of feedback. So you get to see my ass on this one. Apologies. But I'm going to position my hands about 20 centimeters from the wall. And I'm just going to go the same thing as I would do with a wall handstand kick up, but I'm just going to use that same thing and just try and find the wall. It's going to take a little bit, or give you some more support. And then that means that you can start to play around in the shape as you want to. So elbows on the floor, split stance position. I'm going to kick, find the wall. And then from here, with the wall support, I can play around with trying to push high and back, or I can sit in. When I find a shape where I feel comfortable, which will probably be somewhere between, I can just dab my toes on and see if I can find a balance point. If I keep topping over, touching the wall, I've got to come back a little bit more, and then we're going to find our balance. And it's just a matter then of tweaking and playing around in that position. Kicking up, playing around with a combination of the distance that your feet are going over the head, and then where we are with terms of pushing our face. Is it close to the floor, or am I trying to stay back and higher? Let me know how you guys are getting on. For those of you that are trying it, give me a little bit of feedback if there's any questions on that one, because we can have a quick rest. Mike Essex, guys on YouTube, on Instagram, sorry, my phone overheated. So I hope you guys are joining back in a little bit. It's super warm here today. I'm gonna pop you guys. Let's see if I can find a shady spot for you. Just in there. Cool. Hopefully you guys can still see. Sorry about that. All right. So if you got any questions on that one, so what if you bail out from going too far? Yes, good question. With a wall handstand or with a forearm stand, if I'm going to bail out, you typically want to try and get your feet coming down behind you rather than feeling like you're going to go over the top, because you're going to be in a back arched position. So when you're kicking through, leave more weight behind you rather than going super hard and flicking loads over the top. So if I come up, I'm always kind of leaving this pendulum position until I can find a balance point, and then I'm going to try and bring the two together, as opposed to kicking up loads and having to kind of take an emergency action. It's never going to look pretty if you spend too much time or too much weight over the top. Your brain will kind of help you out a little bit. But just try and work on making sure that you're not committing too far over the top on that one. So what position? The wall is what gets me to know and find balance without passing and hitting the wall first. Not sure if that's good or not. Yeah, so the wall, like ideally what we want to do with the wall assistance is to kick up and then not hit it. So if you can get to the point where you're kicking and you just kind of like just feathering your toe against it, then that's kind of where you need to be. And then there's a transition point of taking that into free space, where you've just got to go on there and just try and practice enough to find that particular where the balance point is. You're never going to set up for regret having more strength in the shoulders on this one. I'll show you the difference, because having more ability to stay higher, to keep stronger in that shape, is going to give you more degrees of freedom. If you're not strong and you're trying to slump into it, if you can't keep that pressure downwards to separate the distance between bicep and forearm, then you've only really got one option, which is super close to the floor, because you have just collapsed and your brain just trying to find a stable position. Whereas if I can drive out of that, I've got more options to play around with. So if the balance isn't working, try and spend some more time doing some strength upgrades. We can show you a couple of push-up exercises you can do to build that in. So position in, we show you the difference. I'll slump and then push high. So as I come in, I'm going to kick myself through, find my balance point here on dead low. I can hold the shape, but can I push myself up into more vertical shape? And I've got all these positions there from bottom to top where I can start to play around and find my balance. The other benefit of being higher is it requires less arch. You can actually, if you're strong enough, you can keep a straighter line. And that's one thing just to mention on this, is to make sure you're squeezing that tummy in the whole time. We don't want to just be completely slack around the midsection and allowing the arms and the legs just scorpion over the top and be real like loose in that shape. Try and create tension because it keeps the spine nice and stable. A little bit of just looking through some other questions that are coming through. Is a rollout idea bailout if you're overcommitting? Yeah, so you could roll through it, but if you're overcommitting on the freestand, I would go back to the wall and see if you can hit the wall less, or at least hit it less hard. So if you're going to kick up, try and find that shape or the position where you literally just kind of feather it. Ideally, don't touch it at all. There's so many people with hand balancing exercises, this one included, is that they want to get away from the wall too quick because it's kind of more sexy and fun to practice it in free space. If you stay against the wall to make sure that you are competent in kicking up and finding the balance point, your progress is so much faster and it's also safer. So just to show you that wall example, again, I'm just going to move you guys up a touch. So what I ultimately want to be able to do is kick up and not hit the wall. If I need it, it might be I just tap it, find the balance point, and I've got it. And then I'm going to play around to try and move the feet together. What I don't want to be doing is kicking, bang, all the time. Rather, have it there if I need it for a correction and then off. Work to try and build yourself up so that you come up, you've got a balance point, and you can bring the leg to meet it. And it just requires practice and a little bit more sensitivity in that control shape. Hope that's helping. Mr. Will Greenwood, you've got this one, mate, in the bag. Doesn't require any shoulder stability or range of movement, mate. This is right up your street. It's just strength. Bags of that. More questions, guys, on this one. on the bridge, can't seem to straighten my arm. Is that tricep strength or lack of spinal mobility? Probably a little bit of both. So range of movement around the shoulder is going to be potentially limited. Overhead positions, spinal mobility, linking the two. There's loads of really good stuff around spinal range of movement in our movement and mobility masterclass that we did with Ollie Frost in our virtual classroom. So if you're looking for some sort of active bridge progressions and range of movement overhead, that's a really good resource to check out. So go to the website and you'll be able to find that one. Better to train with the arms in the position you're showing them before trying the straight arm. So straight arm is in a handstand on that one. I'm assuming different variations of them both. So if you want to work on the handstand, this is just a nice little kind of like halfway house, to be honest. Like it gives you a little bit of a bum tap and a little bit of a boost when handstand training can kind of wear you down after a bit, because it takes such a long time. Whereas a forearm stand for most people is quite achievable in a relatively short period of time if you put some time into it. So I would kind of work on both on that one. Luca can't make my biceps are too big, mate. That's a real problem for some people. Fortunately, not so much for me. Loads of range of movement. Curtis, what should you do if you lack strength? Train strength. The body will adapt to the stress you place on it. So if you want a little bit of strength work, let's just try and take you through a couple exercises. So if I'm going to try and work on some more adaptation or more control in this kind of shape. And the other thing just to mention is I use this exercise for part of a tiger bend push-up. So if you're going to go into tiger bend push-up, pretty advanced hand balancing pressing exercise, I want to be able to get in and out of this position. So I use this movement quite a lot. And it's just an impossible push-up, and you can play around with the level to make it more difficult or easier for you. So push-up position, elbows on the floor. Now, depending how far I come backwards, the easier it gets. So I could just go into elbow position, press through. Elbow position, press through. The more vertical I get and even over, it's working really hard because I'm asking my triceps to work through a much different range of movement, much deeper kind of positions where we probably lack strength. So let's have a quick go to add a bit of strength in as a bit of a kind of session finisher. So get into your forearm position and just play around, start in the middle and try and push and see if anything happens. If not, walk backwards a little bit and you'll find a place where you can start to rep some shapes and put some together. And we're just getting a nice little shoulder workout. The further forward you go, the more difficult it's going to be. So you can play around with some strength in those positions, just build some capacity, be able to push the floor down, and build that ability to kind of create some tension from the ground up. And that's going to help you to maintain a little bit more strength and better alignments and shapes. Just going to try and reset Instagram a touch. Oh, I'm warm in my greenhouse today, shouldn't outside. All right, any questions, guys, can throw them in for me quick. Those are the main exercises that I wanted to go through today. In terms of arm position, so we're just commenting there about slightly inside. Depends on your shoulder range of movement, right? So if you've got tons of external rotation, so this shoulder I've had 2 surgeries on, so I lack range in that one. This one you can see a difference. So it's more difficult for me to create a stable position. And the brain's also trying to get the elbows out wider. So depending on where your shape wants to be, typically like straight is going to be good. Sometimes you're going to find it coming in a little bit more like a narrow position. It's like handstanding. Find your personal preference and go with whatever works for you in that shape. There'll be different variations in that. There's no perfect way to do a handstand, no perfect way to do a forearm stand, despite what people would lead you to believe. It's all about kind of finding what the pattern and the movement pattern, and having diversity, being able to do it wide, narrow, somewhere in between, is building up competency in the skill. The brain is interested in having lots of different range movement options. It's not bothered about a perfect technique. So we can play around with those shapes, build some range in our skills, and that adds a ton of variability and adaptability of the skill. How long do I need to hold the forearm stand at the top? As long as you like, as long as you want to. Colin, all about the shoulder range of movement, still working on it. Do a little bit every day, mate. Keep chipping away at it. Let's have a quick look on the Instagram and see if there's anything coming through. Forearm. If you're working on handstand, guys, we just launched a whole new course on that one, so go and check that out. There's tons of stuff in there. Again, someone asking about how to bail out. So again, just build a bit of confidence in it. Use the wall. Use your confidence and get the confidence against the wall, and then you can start taking it to free space, and you'll know then where your corrections are. But keep it safe by not sort of pushing yourself too far into free space or too quickly. If you've got any back issues or stuff around, someone just asking around that about the bridge, then you can then stay into that single arm position until you feel more confident, and keep working on shoulder and spinal range of movement. Those are constant positions and patterns we need to improve if we're feeling it. And also around the lower back position, if you're feeling it in your lower back, there's some mobility issues again there. So look at the bigger picture rather than the one exercise kind of do a bridge and you're feeling sort of wary of it, or you feel some pain in your lower back. You got to strip it back, and you got to go back and start working on range of movement, mobility, and then the bridge could be something for you to work towards. As I said, there's a whole set of progressions in the movement and mobility masterclass that Ollie did with us, which you guys can get if you want to work towards that bridge. He has a phrase that every day is spine day. We should be looking after our spines and training them on a regular basis. So if this provides you with a little bit of a reason to get your back bridge and then therefore get a forearm stand, that's a massive positive, because you're probably not working on range of movement without a target to go towards. Headstand, go for different positions. What's that? Head going in different from a head position to the standing. I don't exactly know what you mean by that one. In terms of, yes, the head is going forward in a forearm stand rather than chin tucking in when we go back. Forearm, should they be straight or inwards or on? Yeah, so again, probably answer that one in the hand position. Yeah, looking down at the floor, going up, but does head position change to look forward when you're going up? So that's a good question. Let me show you again. Pop you guys back up there, Instagram. So just think about the head position. I'm going to be looking down straight between here. As I come through, I don't really want to be arching and lifting up through the head. So I'm going to probably just let my eyes just track through. But because of the shape and my head being close to the floor, it's going to dictate how much kind of extension of my neck is going to be. So I kick up in here, and I come through, I'm super close. I've got a load of like spinal extension, which is happening in that pattern. And this is where the strength comes in. If I'm stronger, I can push harder into the floor, which means I've got a better spinal position. I cannot like emphasize the importance of strength on this. And sometimes we kind of look at these positions, and from a yoga background, for example, they'll often come in as a balance, but the emphasis on strength isn't always there. So we will always prioritize that, because strength makes it safer and it makes it easier. So if you get into the shape and I kick up, I can then start to look underneath, and you'll see I can probably, if I go forearm stand balance, I can actually, if I'm strong enough to get enough space, get pretty straight. But that all comes from not being slumped into that bottom position. And the only thing that's driving that is getting stronger. So I hope I've made my point about strength. All right. Guys, I'm pretty much there. If there's any questions on there you want to throw in. JD Stone's body's like a banana on a forearm stand. Is that right? It's not great because you put in quite a lot of pressure on your spine, but everyone kind of going to learn by finding some stability in that shape. What I would just encourage you to do is make sure that you've got good range of movement, so you're working through your bridge progressions. I would also suggest that you're working a load on stability of the spine. So kind of any core stabilization exercise you do, you don't need to do crunches, more things like rollouts, hollow bodies, Superman progressions, loads of those core exercises. Those are going to keep the spine nice and stable. The muscles that you're training in those patterns are like a corset. They keep everything packed in nice and tight. So if you're doing that, you can arch your back. You have range of movement in the spine to be able to arch. But if you've got range of movement and you've got stability, we can move into these positions safely. If we can't, because we are restricted, tight, and weak, then it's more difficult and it's more risky. So work on those things. Keep getting stronger. Be nice and tall. Keep pushing up. Keep pushing nice and high. Vaughan Bennett, really enjoyed it and learned a lot. Thanks, Power Yoga PT. Good on you, mate. That's the one kind of yoga that I really would like to look at when I get some time. And I guess this is all kind of where Power Yoga and calisthenics match together. There's a lot of similarities in those things. So, guys, I'm going to sign off for today. I'm absolutely roasted. I go red. I went quite red, didn't I? That's what happens when I kind of get warm. Trying to stay away from the on the sunlight so you guys can see look how white I go. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. Go back and just work on it. These are little sort of wins that you need to kind of go through. So just to recap the training process, get range of movement. Bridge and the crabs are great progressions for that. I then encourage you to go through some core activation. So we use the Superman, both like single and opposite sides and same sides. Work on that possible push-up position, forearms down, pressing out, link it in with the range of movement of the Pluto sniff or dive bomb push-up. And then we went into the kick-up, which is to try and find that pendulum position, use the wall from there, and then you can start to go into some free space. I've shown you the whole process, guys. You might want to work on these and break these down into positions and into like this separate sections that you work through. Don't feel you've got to do it all in one go. A little bit of a whistle stop tour of forearm stand, but hopefully some stuff for you to work on. And just most important thing is really that's the process of understanding when to progress. So keep it nice and safe on that one. Massive thank you for you guys joining. I get excited on these. I talk too fast. Let me know if I'm rabbiting. Just get like super excited on these and just talk too quickly to you. Crocs forearm stand has always scared me. Thanks for showing the progressions and keep practicing. Yeah, keep going at it. Just if you got it, as I said, I keep saying it comes down to the key principles of any movement, right? So mobility, stability, strength. To move well in any position, I don't care what that is, or to progress in that, you need mobility, stability, and strength. And if your program is encompassing those variables, whether it be a forearm stand, a handstand, a back squat, we need those things if the human body is going to perform well. So think about what are you doing for each one of those areas. And I've shown you each one of those things today. The execution of that is the skill. So if you've got range of movement through the spine and shoulders, if you've got the activation through the mid stabilizers to get stable, if you've got the strength from the triceps to be able to create a nice high position, the skill acquisition, you've got everything that you need. It's just a matter of walking, of arching, of finding that movement position. So play around with it, guys. You're awesome. Thank you for signing in. And hopefully we'll see you soon. The next live is tomorrow morning, and I think it's Jacko on Thursdays. And he'll be doing something. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest. I've got to look at the schedule. But it will be awesome, whatever it is. And he's probably going to have some fancy socks on. Guys, take care. We're going to, I've got someone's answer me a nutrition question. It's a subject for another day. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you soon. YouTube, you guys are legends. Awesome questions. Thanks for joining us. If you're looking for some handstand action whilst we are in lockdown, go over to the website or social. We've got it all over there. Get involved with the Handstand Up to Corona campaign that we've got going on. We are giving a percentage of all the revenue that comes in across our online platform to the NHS in Nottingham University Hospital charity, and we are giving it to the Nottingham Robin Hood Fund as well. So go and get your handstand programs, guys. Support some good causes and teach yourself to do something really cool whilst you are in lockdown. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon.